this. To many, this is one of my most impressive achievements. This is my Guinness World Record for the fastest time to solve Rubik's Cube in a team of 2. Rather than me explaining what that means, let's just have a look at this. Pretty impressive, right? Well, now let's have a look at this. This was the current world record holder, Max Park, solving the Rubik's Cube in 6.20 seconds, one-handed. So overall, I'm not one of the fastest Rubik's Cube solvers in the world, not even close. And yet, I managed to get this world record. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can do exactly that, even if you're not world class at any skill. Step 1. Identify one talent. You don't have to be able to deadlift 500 kilograms or run a 100-meter dash in under 10 seconds to be able to attempt a world record. But you need to identify a talent that sounds impressive or unique. Maybe you can juggle for a few minutes straight or hold a yoga pose much longer than your friends can. I'm sure you can come up with at least one unique thing you're significantly above average at. Although the more the better. In fact, if you can think of something, I suggest putting your unconventional skills in the comments down below. This will help others to come up with their own skills. And if you can't think of anything, that's alright too. In this case, you have two choices. First, you can ask your friends or family if there's something that they can think of. Very often we subconsciously reject many of our own talents because we think they're not cool enough, not impressive enough, or not unique enough. That's completely normal. That's the way society has conditioned our minds, to be overly humble all of the time. An external observer can very often be free from these biases and help you identify these talents. The other option is to just train yourself to have a talent. You could learn the Rubik's Cube like I did, or pick a much simpler skill, like hula hooping. The benefit to this approach is you have near complete control over what kind of world record you want to apply for. The downside, of course, is that it takes a substantial amount of time to develop any skill. In my case, I had started solving Rubik's Cubes when I was 15 by following some YouTube tutorials. At that time, it was just a means to pass time because I was bedridden for a month after a football injury. But the habit stuck for a few years and I naturally got better at it to the point that I could impress anyone by solving it in under 15 seconds. So when I decided to break a world record, I figured that a Rubik's Cube world record would be a good target, even though I wasn't anywhere near the fastest people in the world. Step 2. Look for a niche record. Right before my world record, in April 2019's Guinness World Records recaps, they have put up this record. So this is a record where a person attempts to keep 3 air-filled balloons from touching the ground for 15 minutes straight. Now, not to take anything away from this person, but most of us will agree that many of the other records on the list require a lot more effort to achieve. And this brings me to my point. Not all world records are created equal. Even in my case, if I wanted to break the world record for the fastest time to solve Rubik's Cube, if it was possible at all, it would still take a huge amount of commitment and time, something I as a university student did not have. So I looked for a record that had lower competition yet sounded more impressive. And I struck gold when I found out that the world record for solving the Rubik's Cube with one person operating the left side and the other person operating the right side was about 19 seconds. One I was sure that my friend and I could beat in just a few weeks of practice with some clever communication techniques. Coming back to our hula hooping example, you probably cannot break the world record for the longest time hula hooping in something absurd like 4 entire days. But you can maybe hope to tackle the world record for the shortest time running a mile while hula hooping. That's a more believable 8 minutes. It's a record with lower competition than traditional hula hooping records, and you should be able to find or create a similar record in whatever skill you choose to pursue your record in. If you have seen this video on my channel, where I review Sun Tzu's The Art of War, you'll realize that this is a great example of what it preaches. Instead of facing a war head-on, create and focus on smaller battles where you have an advantage over a limited competition. Just another reason to check out my book club playlist that you can find in the card above. Step 3. Practice. Breaking a world record, no matter which you choose, isn't going to be an easy challenge. It's a world record after all. And on the final day, you'll have a limited number of attempts. In many cases, just one. So you need to make sure that all your research and hard work pays off when you actually make your attempt. Depending on your record, you might want to break it multiple times in practice itself before you do the high stakes official attempt. In many cases, you want to be able to break the record by a significant margin so that you have some room for error. For my world record, even though I knew by the end of the month that I would be able to break the world record if the stars aligned, I wanted to minimize the role of luck, so my friend and I ended up practicing for a couple of months, during which time we broke the world record by over 4 seconds, which means we were able to solve the Rubik's Cube in just over 14 seconds, which is quite amazing. This is what gave us the confidence to step on the stage that day and actually pull off a 16-second solve in that high pressure environment. Another thing that's important is to simulate a high pressure environment, just like I mentioned. You'll have to perform your record in front of many people, and that can make you nervous. So you could ask your friends or family to watch you practice your record. Step 4. Applying to Guinness. Many records are broken each day, but very few are recognized. This is because applying for a world record to Guinness is an extremely elaborate process, something that many people fail to do. There are requirements that you contact them months before your attempt, have eyewitnesses that follow certain criteria, have professionals in the field judge you for your record, and many other intricacies. This requires substantial planning in advance. If you're applying for a record that you yourself created, the requirements are even more stringent. Thankfully, there are many good videos online that walk you through the process of application. I strongly suggest you have a look at those. I'll put a few in the description as well for you to refer to. Also, definitely read through the terms and conditions. They have some unintuitive requirements, like performing the record in a public place and having slow-mo cameras from multiple angles for speed records. For my record, I applied 4 months in advance, had 10 plus eyewitness testimonies and hundreds of people watching. The event happened in the middle of a college festival, and we had 3 judges, 2 hosts, 1 coordinator, and 6 camera persons recording the event. That might have been an overkill, but I faced no hitches in getting the world record approved, so no regrets. Step 5. Follow through. If you're not paying for an adjudicator, it may take months for your record to be verified. For some of my acquaintances that attempted a record, their witnesses and they themselves were contacted over the coming months for more evidence of the record, live streams, newspaper articles, etc. In some cases, the records were broken before they could even be ratified. So it's important for you to be proactive and assist the ratifiers in any way possible as quickly as you can. I suggest regularly updating your record submission with additional articles and follow-throughs as and when they come along. That's something I did for 3 months before my record was confirmed. I understand it can be a stressful period, much like waiting for exam results. But in this case, if you've done everything right, there's no reason for you not to get your record. In all, I hope I've convinced you that getting a world record isn't a matter of innate talent or thousands and thousands of hours of hard work on that one skill. It's a matter of finding what you're better than average at, finding and practicing for that one record that has low competition but is highly impressive, and the discipline to actually go through with the world record application process.